Sometimes people say that you can't trust the Gospels because of the differences in their accounts. Like, who was it that discovered the empty tomb of Jesus? Was it just Mary Magdalene, or was she with a group of women? Like, what's the deal with that? Those differences in particular, the ones about the empty tomb, used to really bother me because the Apostle Paul says that the resurrection of Jesus is central to Christianity. And yet it seemed like the writers of the Gospels didn't even take time to write down their accounts carefully and accurately. It used to bother me so much that after work I would come home and create full charts laying out the different accounts and the details that they include. The book of Matthew says Mary Magdalene and the other Mary discovered the empty tomb of Jesus. Mark says it was Mary Magdalene, Mary the mother of James, and Salome. Luke says Mary Magdalene, Mary the mother of James, Joanna, and other women. And then John just mentions Mary Magdalene. But after studying it a little more closely, I really don't think it's that far-fetched to believe that what happened was that a group of women discovered Jesus' empty tomb, and that the different accounts just focus on different people who were there. And this is why. J. Warner Wallace was a homicide detective, and he says this: witnesses never agree. And he goes on to clarify that by that, he doesn't mean that they're lying or even that they're wrong, but just that witnesses naturally emphasize different details. So to a degree, there are going to be natural differences in different accounts, and that also goes for the Gospels. But the whole thing is a bit of a double-edged sword, because Wallace also says that if your witnesses do use the exact same details, it means they spoke to each other. And at worst, that they're lying and they just took time to get their story straight. Which is why ultimately Wallace says that we shouldn't let people tell us that the differences between the Gospels invalidates them. In fact, it's the differences between the Gospels that validates them, that make them reliable. So when we read the Gospels side by side in our leather-bound Bibles, we need to remember where they came from, that they were written by different people at different times in different places. And what's so funny is that the different details that they choose to include used to challenge my faith, but now it actually strengthens my faith, because it reminds me that when we read the resurrection accounts, they're not based on a carefully concocted lie, but they're actually based on eyewitness testimony.